Hello everybody. So last time you saw this shop, I had put in this floor. It was all dirt and we put a raised standing on stone plywood floor here. And so check out the video for that if you want to see how that was all done. And my buddy started fitting out his shop a little bit, and he's gracious enough to let me use some of the space as well. We're going to share tools, and I had a lot of equipment back home that I think we'll all enjoy to use. So this video is going to be the sort of the second stage building out this shop for woodworking. So some of the things we're going to do, other than we're going to bring all this equipment in, have to figure out a good layout. We might put the joiner here so that we have a good in-feed, out-feed, and then having the saw here also lets you cut an 8-foot board in this direction. I'm not sure where we're going to put the bandsaw. The bandsaw might just be stored away and then wheeled out when we need to use it. In the tack room, we call it the tack room. It used to be a tack room. There's basically a closet on the other side of this wall here. That's going to store the dust collector and the dust separator, and then we'll bring in a duct. I'm not gonna do a full ducted dust collection system right now, but we'll bring a flexible hose in here that we can connect to a couple tools, and then the compressor is also in there. So probably, since it's not terribly expensive to run a couple pieces of pipe, I'll probably put the regulator here, bring a piece of pipe up across, and then install this pull down hose, which, I mean, it's so useful to be able to just pull air when you need it. And yeah, so finding storage, that's going to be tricky. We might have to build a couple of tables and cabinets. I know here would make a lot of sense to put a little sharpening, grinding tool maintenance station, because it's right next to the water, and we could make a little sharpening stone holder that sits right on there and keeps it nice and clean. So yeah, let's get to it. I hope you enjoy. Well, that was fairly absurd. This trailer is large, and already I need to do some work on these fenders because they're constantly getting caught on stuff, / just get better at driving this trailer. But I figured it'd be easier to just wheel all this heavy ass stuff over this ramp in here than haul it and jimmy it up. Oh man, I gotta attach a tow ball mount to the tractor to maneuver this thing all over the place. Okie dokie, let's start by unloading and then doing some organizing. All right, part check for the install. I'm not just doing this for the video. I actually would have done this if I were not recording, because it helps me get my head around what I'm actually going to try to do and make sure I have all the parts before I go down a long road. So originally I was going to try to fit all these new circuits in the existing breaker box, but in order to do that, I would have had to buy so many tandem breakers. This barn really needs a heavy up service increase. So what I'm going to do instead is sort of break off the equipment of the shop into a sub panel powered by this 70 amp breaker. Now, it's definitely getting to the point where we need to do a heavy up, but because the upstairs loft is not occupied and the kitchen is decommissioned, nobody's using the stove, there's actually a whole bunch of circuits that are just not even going to be on. So once we do the renovations upstairs, that'll be the time to sort of address a power increase and sort of make this into a much more two-code situation. But for now, I basically got one tandem breaker to open up a space for this 70 amp. That'll power this sub panel. And now to go through all the power we have here, we're putting in two 20 amp 220s. One of them's for the bandsaw, one of them's for the joiner planer. I'm only actually using 3 of those poles. But I believe in my old shop I had 3-phase circuit available, so I wanted to make sure that I could sort of rearrange the wires and not have a problem. Then we have a 50 amp plug that's going to be mounted close to the exit of the garage of the barn. That's for welding equipment, plasma cutter, etc. We have 2 circuits for just accessories that are going to be mounted in addition around the shop. This is a plug-in for the compressor. So the compressor is going to be on one 20 amp circuit, and then there's another 20 amp 220 for the dust collector. And these are appliance motor grade switches. This is a 2-pole, this is a single pole. Basically on one side, right about there'll be the switch box, and that'll pass through, and then you'll be able to plug in the compressor and wire in the dust collector. And that'll let you turn on the compressor or the dust collector from inside the shop. So then there's all the wire. So then the other part of this whole process of getting the shop ready is the air system. So on the other side of this tack rim, we're going to have, or the other side of this wall, we're going to have the compressor. The compressor will feed through this high pressure air hose through the wall, connect to this regulator and water trap with a pressure gauge. This is a good idea to do whenever you're running air pipes, is to have it enter at a T and have a bit of length and then a valve at the bottom, because there's a chance that the air, which is hot and humid going through the compressor, is going to have moisture in there, and this will trap some of it but not all of it, and eventually the moisture will condense in this long pipe run, trickle back down. You don't want that, or any debris from inside the pipe. You want that to collect in here. Normally you'd have drops at each air location. Basically you'd have a regulator water trap at each location, and your air would feed down to here and then feed back that way. We're only having 1 drop, so it's not a concern. So then this air pipe is going to go up here and across to about the center of the shop with this pole. At the end, it'll get reduced down to this whip connected to this air reel thing, and then that'll let you use air blow off wherever you are. Little interruption for a little rage session. So, you know, they say that you get what you pay for. And I just spent the last, I think, half hour, could have been a little long, diagnosing and fixing this piece of trash that I got from Harbor Freight. I mean, it's going to work. It's $50, but if you can see up in there, you see how there's this little patch? Click, click, click. So there's a washer on that side now, because this little pawl did not even engage these teeth here. And so it wouldn't even click. It would just ride along the thing. So, and you couldn't tighten this bolt because it was already bottomed out. So I had to find a washer that would fit to move that pawl over. And then also, if you see here, I had to grind off these nuts because they would clear the washer. I mean, now it works. It catches. Should be fine, but you know, if I was time poor and I extrapolated the cost of this plus the cost of fixing it, you know, with my shop rate or whatever, I could have just bought the better one. But as it stands, I'm rather time rich, so it was cost effective to buy the cheapest thing and make it work. I mean, it boggles my mind every time I buy and use any product. I'm continuously amazed that, I mean, this wasn't even tested at whatever factory it was made. Fortunately, it's serviceable. I mean, it's nuts and bolts, so I was able to fix it. All right, this is what we're going to do here. I originally thought this box was going to be a lot closer to this box and that they were on the same plane so that I could use a little stub piece to go between the two boxes. But I got this big wire for the welding circuit and I just didn't get enough length. And it wouldn't have mattered anyway because this piece of post is in the way. And then I was thinking of just running the wires out through a clamp. But then I was just like, that's being lazy. I really should do the right thing, even if it takes a little more time and money. So we're going to use this plastic transition. I'm going to take the oscillating multi-tool and cut a little groove and chip out some of this wood, put a 1.5 inch coupling, a small piece of PVC, another 1.5 inch coupling, and then take the wires in there. And that'll be a much more cleaner and safer installation. And we'll kind of clean up this box here and start to button this up. All right, let's turn on everything. I'm always scared at this point. All right, I'm not dead. And now let's just turn on each breaker. This is the welding breaker. Okay, I'm not going to weld right now, so I'll just keep that off. Let's turn on the bandsaw breaker, planer breaker, dust collector breaker. Now, will the dust collector turn on when I do this? Okay, I think I must have turned that switch off. And then utility breaker, air compressor breaker, and other utility breaker. All right, let's plug in the air compressor. Oh, that's because there's switches associated with these things. Plug in the air compressor, and I'll turn it on. It should not come on. Okay, and we'll check that the dust collector switch down here is on. All right, now one of these is the dust collector, one is the air. I will label them, of course. Let's see which one works. Oh yeah. That sounds like a dust collector. And then this is the air compressor. Nice. And why don't we test the bandsaw? I am gonna turn it on. Okay, good. I'm not even gonna power it up. I gotta clean this up. It's been off for a while. And planer. Let's not destroy ourselves here. This is such a mess. Everything is clear. Let's see if it turns on. Oh, I must have just turned it off there. Whoa! All right. We got stuff hooked up. So now I believe the next order of business is to start getting the dust collection hose pipe through here. What I'm basically gonna do is I'm gonna probably bring it in right around here, run one section of hose up across here, and then down to a wastegate, and then have a section that I can hook here, or when I flip this up and turn it into a planer, I'll put the dust here. And then I'll also have another hose that can be coiled up here that either can hook to the bandsaw or to the saw stop over there. It would be awesome to put in like full piping, but since this shop is kind of in flux and eventually, you know, I don't know where these tools are going to end up. I'll probably take them to whatever shop I go to after this, but flexible hose will be good. So I'll start getting that together. Okay, basic dust collection finished. We have the 2 horsepower Grizzly sucking through this trash can separator. Goes through the wall. We got a split here with a wastegate and a portable hose, which we can hook to the saw stop down there, or the bandsaw, or whatever other tools, and then a dedicated line run to joiner planer with enough slack that we can convert it into the planer mode, and it sucks just fine. So that's a big step in getting this shop squared away. I think it's nice to have the dedicated dust for the joiner planer, because that's a very commonly used tool. If you want to quickly quickly straighten an edge of a board or remake something. And having 2 hoses, my old shop, I just had 1 hose because the dust collector was not powerful enough really to support 2 tools at once. But to be able to support 2 tools at once is huge, because you can have the bandsaw going while the joiner and planer is going, join an edge, rip it on the bandsaw, join an edge, rip it on the bandsaw, stuff like that. Or, table saw, bandsaw, whatever you want to do. These types of things is really setting the place in order so that we can work efficiently. Thinking about moving a dust hose, maybe that's 30 seconds, but constantly switching tools, that's going to add up. And every little bit that you can avoid extra work will make you more likely to do sort of the right thing. If it's easy to use the right tool for the job, you'll use the right tool for the job. If there's a little bit of barrier, you might avoid that. So getting this set up in a way that makes it efficient will make us work that much faster and that much to a higher quality. All right, so the next thing we are going to do to get this shop in running order is we're going to build a little sharpening station, grinding station situation here to store a bunch of those tools and figure out places to move some of these tools so they're out of the way. And start organizing this massive pile of tools. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. I hope you found this content helpful. Please consider supporting Never Stop Building by clicking that red subscribe button and the little bell so you get notified when I make new videos. Even better is to become a Patreon where you can get early access to videos, plans and CAD models, and some other cool benefits. Click the description below for a link. I also want to give a shout out to our new Patreons, Eric and Andrew. Really appreciate the support. And always, never stop building.